Good morning, Team Friedman. It is Tuesday, February 24th, early in the morning, about 6:25. And today is scheduled the final, la Ultima, of the 6 chemo treatments that were prescribed when the trap door opened. And I went into a season of really necessary growth and dependence on the Lord, recognizing that I'm always in His gracious grip. Sometimes you have to get really at your most vulnerable and your weakest to see how dependent we all are on God for everything. The biblical text in the New Testament talking about Christ, Paul says in a couple of different places, in a couple of different ways, with the same meaning, that Jesus is holding all things together. He's sustaining all things by His power and His authority and His position. And I used to read that early in my journey, especially the mention of Christ sustaining all things by His power. I used to just, in Colossians 1, the section between verses 15 and 20, describe the majestic preeminence of Christ, and included in that majesty is the sustaining of all things. I used to think that was He's sustaining the orbits of all the planets, and He's sustaining the changes of the season. If you look carefully at the whole of the biblical record, it seems to indicate that Jesus is holding all things together in the most granular, basic, detailed ways of our own existence and our need for provision. So this season has definitely illuminated that reality of Jesus always holding all things together, and we trust that He's making the best decisions, even if we don't understand sometimes what's happening. Anyway, back to today. Round 6 of chemo scheduled for about 10 a.m. But I just want to again come and express our gratitude for your continued faithfulness in prayer, your encouragement. Love hearing from you about what's going on with you too, because we want to be able to serve as we are being served. That's sort of part of the process. I think I've mentioned a variety of things in the biblical text concerning always looking for a way to bless and serve and live sacrificially for the benefit of others. That's really where true flourishing is developed, just living for the benefit of other people. So we want to be expressors of that to y'all as well. So at this point in the chemo process, early in the journey, I was really not experiencing any, I would say, bothersome or aggravating, annoying, or even limits. After about maybe after the 4th session of chemo, which was January the 13th, I began to experience what they call the aggregate baggage of the chemo process. It just builds up session over session. And so this chemo session finds me in a quite different position. Generally just more fatigue and neuropathy in my extremities, my hands and my feet. Just some all over muscle and joint soreness, which makes it hard to sleep. But all that's part of the journey. I've been reading a book from Charles Spurgeon, which is kind of a difficult read because he was a writer of another era, and uses language that you have to parse a little bit to understand. But the book is called God's Purpose in Your Suffering, and just a really good and kind of more powerful, potent exposition or explanation of you, if you will. Just so well written, so rich and deep. So, all this that I've accumulated, all this baggage, is basically part of the refining process, which we all need refining. Peter talks about our faith being refined as gold is in the fire. Gold is heated up to a molten state, and then the impurities rise to the surface. It's called dross, and scraped off. And for followers of Christ, that should be an ongoing reality. Not comfortable. I mean, it's not comfortable to have dross removed. But the goal, again, as I talked about in the last update, is that we are conformed to the image of Christ. So even the dross removal is good. Remember 8:28 through 30 of Romans? God causes all things to work together for good for those who love God and are called according to his purposes. And the good is defined in verses 29 and 30. It's the justification, the calling, the justification, to be conformed to the image of Christ and ultimately glorified. So that is the good, to be conformed to the image of Christ. So that speaks to the necessity of the dross removal. The reason I'm rocking back and forth is I'm petting my little Morky. Say hello, Gracie. Hello. So, today is, by God's grace and y'all's prayer, the last of this 6 treatment protocol. And just want to thank you for your prayers so far, and want to ask you to continue. There's several ongoing, I would say, dysfunctions as a result of the trap door of cancer opening up. Gracie's about to start barking because she wants attention. My urinary tract, we're going to focus on that more once these sessions are over and about another month passes by. So sometime late March, we'll focus more on the capacities and possibilities for my urinary tract. I just want to get all this chemo toxin out of my system. And hopefully the neuropathy and the chemo brain will dissipate over time. So I just want to say I'm so grateful for y'all being on the journey with us. Sherry says thank you also. She's getting some much needed rest. She enjoys sleeping later than me. I wouldn't call it sleeping in. I've just been getting up really early. But she's so appreciative as well, and she needs lots and lots of prayer as well, because she has a very important ministry, and she's also ministering to me. And y'all that know her and have her contact info, it'd be great to reach out to her. So this has kind of dragged on longer than I thought. I just wanted to give you a quick update. Again, expressing our gratitude for your faithfulness in prayer, your generosity, your encouragement. And we are pressing on as a result of the powerful uplift of your prayers for us. We're so grateful. All right, so in just a few hours, the port will be activated and the juice will flow by God's grace for the final time ever. So that's part of the prayer focus too. Ever, the last need ever. That's what we're boldly proclaiming in this journey. So, all right, love y'all. It's been a really long video. I hope it's not too boring. I've kind of rambled on a bit. So, anyway, love you. Peace out.